is thinking, yeah, we can do this against the big bad boys of the region. However, imagine FURIA got something in the back pocket here to cause a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the day as a whole, I think this is... It's a fascinating example of we've got two different strategies really coming out. We've got teams like FURIA and Secret that are slow and steady. You know, they're the tortoise in this race. We're just going to go with a 2-bullet reload. We're going to play into day 4, day 5. We're just going on that slow accumulation.
If you were a team coach, this is what you'd do. That's a team strategy.
Nice and steady, nice and easy, boys. Let's get it done. But then you've got your teams like G2 and SSG that have just lit the blue touch paper and stood well back. Do you know what? We're going all or nothing today. So you've got these really different polarizing strategies coming out from teams, and it's fascinating stuff. So let's get into these bans. We've got FURIA, we've got Secret. New banning phase for anybody who hasn't caught the tournament so far. Quick explanation, both teams start off with 2 bans of the opposing side of operators. So FURIA on defense get to ban 2 attackers. They've banned Monty and Blackbeard, gone for that double shield ban. And then Secret on attack, ban 2 defenders, and they've gone for Mute and Warden. Now we'll play like that for the first 3 rounds. And then when we get into that beginning of the 4th round, they will have an opportunity to ban 1 more, and those bans will then, 6 banned operators will persist through the first half, and then we wipe it clean and do it all again for the second half after the sides.
And you might have been looking at those bans and wondering, oh, really? What is the bans? I love it, absolutely love it. I was speaking to Kangaroo Kenny actually about this yesterday in DZ. I was talking about the ban phase that they had against SSG. And I remember actually it was on air, I forget who was casting, I want to say it was Devon Pengu. They were saying like, oh, okay, well they've banned away the Warden here, the Ying's gone away as well. Like, do they really play things like Glass? And then for 3 rounds straight, they just play Glass. And had a lot of fun with it. Obviously, they're an undefeated team so far here. But I was looking at these bans, the double shield ban makes a lot of sense. It's a target against Savage. He absolutely loves playing shields. It's why you're now seeing him across on that blitz. The other side, though, is the one that interests me the most, the Mute and the Warden. You look at that and think, a Mute ban? That's kind of weird. In a way, it's not, because for FURIA, it's one of their most played operators. 3 different players have got it in their top 3 most played operators across the last year or so. Looking towards Pox, Hertz, and Nade when I say that. So I think here they're identifying what it is that makes FURIA a really difficult team to break down on defense, and taking away a linchpin of their defensive setups.
Mute's a great operator. Mute brings an awful lot to the table. You know, you immediately think wall denial, but it's not all about that with Mute. Think about your other powerful operators, your Deimos, your Dokkaebi. Mute can deal with them. Mute can help to neutralize their effect. Nitro in hand, decent guns. Mute brings an awful lot to the table. So yeah, I think that's a smart ban from Secret there. We'll see how it plays out. We are defending up on the top floor with FURIA for the time being. Secret have had a little prod, a little poke. They've put a few mav holes in that Mask's wall. No joy found yet, and they've repositioned a little bit, but they're playing this nice and cautiously.
I think it's quite smart then, so coming to maybe a bit of prep done to play Maverick an awful lot, because a lot of teams have been banning away hard breaches on the attacking side. You fully expect shields against Secret for what it's worth, but I think teams now are going to have to make sure their Mav is up to standard. We saw, for example, M80 against PSG banning away 3 hard breaches and making it almost impossible for the Korean side to do anything. So I like how we're seeing Verizon come on through. Speaking about coming on through, there's a couple of kills kicking things off though, Tim. Moby's gone down, Noah's got a trade elsewhere. It's down to a 4 versus
4. Trying to get some value out of this shield here is Savage, but look at the health on Noah and Doom. It's not looking great for Secret right now. However, even with limited hit points, Noah manages to find Hertz, brings it back to a 3v3. It's almost like we're at the last 20 seconds of the round here, but there's a minute 10 left on the clock, and Secret, they just keep on pushing towards sight. But FURIA, they've stood tall, they've backed them up, and Secret are having to rethink a little bit here. But I tell you what, Des, that's going to help them do some thinking. Noah finds a 3rd.
He's just completely sliced off this sort of like left-hand side of the map now. So Mask's wall, where Savage is around Mez, for example, it's all in Secret's control. And I love this. A plant's getting lined up, but they've got a glass on the other side of the Mask's wall that isn't open, mind you, but enough that they can see in towards sight here. With Noah going down though on those stairs, that's a problem. Savage has got to make a play happen, but 2 players have bunched up here to deal with this shield. He can't easily go forward and challenge 1. They might be a little bit stuck here, Tim. It's 2 versus 2. They've still, of course, got to get Glass back to join them, and Jumi's had a pretty poor tournament so far, has got to make an impact.
This is his moment. He's managed to just maneuver himself around here. The plant actually was going down. Savage was trying to secure it, but when Nade takes him down, this really stacks the chips against Doom. He's taken out. Secret, I feel like we're I feel like Secret were a little bit unfortunate. They might have made I don't want to be overly critical. They might have made a little bit of a bad decision.
That's so critical, Tim.
They might have made it. The thing is, it's one of those. If it works, you say, yeah, genius, brilliant. It could have gone either way. The results kind of made it a bit of a bad decision. And that was, you've got Noah on low health, and you've pushed June outside onto the holes you've made on Mask Wall with the map to use the smokes and the glass scope. So I don't hate that. You're using the situation you've created on Mask's Wall, but the problem is you've left Blitz inside with a very low health supporting player in Noah, who was fairly easily taken out, and then we saw what happened. As soon as Noah went down, the Blitz then Savage is backing up and saying, look, I can't keep taking this fight. There's two of them stacking up on me. But Doom cannot easily get into a position to support him then, because he's stuck outside, stood at Mask's Wall. So I get what they were doing. They were trying to create that space for Savage to get in and put the diffuser down, and FURIA recognised that and they dealt with it well. And I say for Secret, it's unfortunate more than a bad decision. I'm probably, you know, they've gone for it, they've committed to it, but I just don't think they quite had what they needed.
You're against one of the best teams in the world at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're going to be punished.
Nade challenging onto Juve, so he couldn't cover the plant going down, was the most important part of that as well. So again, it's a nod towards FURIA, and even in a 2 versus 2, that team play shines on through. Here we go for the second round, though. Of course, got a lot more of the map to clear through now as we find ourselves heading downstairs. A couple of interesting changes in the lineup from Secret as well. They're going Roma hunting at this point, Tim. Got the Jackal on side, you've got the Deimos being lined up, and you've even got Noah for a little bit of maximum damage coming through on that Nook as well. Of course, it's got to slip the net here, and with the Valkyrie coming on side, just screams there's a little bit of prep that's been done here to know that FURIA are going to lean in towards playing these intel-heavy operations, looking at the bulletproof cam, of course, in the back pocket of Felipox. They can get around this. They can do some real damage.
Got 3 players at the minute off site for FURIA. If you're maybe a little bit newer to watching Siege and you're thinking, how do you know that? How do you know that so easily, that they're all offside? If you look at the bottom left of your screen, you can see the locations at the bottom of the player cards for each of the FURIA players. And basically anything that's not a B, because we're on the basement side, anything that's not a B shows that they're on a different floor. So at the minute we've got 4 playing out on the first floor, and they're getting some value from it. JV92 manages to pick up Adrian. That's a big start as well. That's the ram gone. And believe me, you really want some verticality for this site. So now they're going to be limited to maybe the secondary for Doom, maybe the soft breach of Savage trying to do some of that vertical work. They have managed to get JV92 in response with a little bit of a late trade and can now start to maybe gather a little bit of that map control. Couple have been forced back to site, but KZ, Herds are still a danger, but not anymore as Doom manages to cut down the Valkyrie.
Secret just playing this very slow and controlled so far. Again, Noah on that Nook, slipping through the net, managing to be in a spot to get a late trade. Doom working his way down from the top floor. The main thing I'm nervous about, Tim, is this isn't really like looking at the site itself here. We're talking about someone coming down the stairway from the second floor down to the first. They've still got to head down towards the basement here. They can start moving a bit quicker now. There's only 3 players left on this side of FURIA, but it's at this point where the team has got to get themselves lined up. But what you've really seen from Secret is a very spread out attack, players in all kinds of locations, and it's keeping FURIA guessing on what's going on. Really suffocating play. They're in.
August just looking to get aggressive now, moving towards site on the back of Savage's kill, but once again FURIA stand up pretty well. 1v2. The problem they've got is KZ, low health and off site. Opportunity for Noah to potentially put this diffuser down. That's exactly what he's going to start to do. Gives it a little tickle but backs off, but we start seeing the value of those Deimos scans. A 1v2 and you're tracked as well. KZ has really got it stacked up against him. Nitro goes out and gets him. No! That's Mowgli taken down, but Noah finds the trade after putting the diffuser down, and what a start Noah has had to this one.
He is flying. Noah's a really interesting player because I know for a while he's floated around and people have always been like, there's so much potential in this guy, like he's the next up-and-coming Shaiko, and for a while it was like, okay, you're not really seeing that come to light. At least from what we've seen over the last couple of days, you saw it earlier on in the comparison between Savage and Noah, the performances they've both had so far at this tournament. Noah's starting to cook, and in this game especially, he's working a bit of magic. A 3K in the first round, a second in that one just then. Great start for him. A bit too early to get too excited, of course, because you've got to see how the rest of the game plays out, but you're certainly not complaining when you can see that potential building up.
Just got our highlights from the last round as we work through the prep phase, and going to be a lot of Noah and Doom because of Doom's had a little bit of a slow start to the tournament, but certainly got himself involved in that round.
He got the one kill that he had. I'd say relatively for free.
To.
That second one there on the replay does him no favours, being fair. This is what's happened over the last couple of days. He's had a couple of gunfights he's come into that really should have taken and just couldn't get the shots. And in that case, there is onto a player that wasn't even looking at him. That's painful. You can't be missing them. It's been a tough tournament for him so far. I've said before that I remember when Fabian was coaching on Delta Projects, he was saying, look, there's so much potential in this guy. He's a great player. Not yet seeing it this tournament, but we've seen so many times to him when he comes to big events like these that some players have a really poor group stage and they warm up, they hit form at just the right time. And normally, that's when you get into the live stage. That is when you want someone to really come into their own.
Yeah, exactly. The timing of your form is particularly important. Like you say, you'll quite happily have a quiet first few days if you can have a great last few days. Nobody remembers the start then. Doom is going to be the one on the sense, just walking in, looking to take a bit of ground here on that first floor. Gets in, takes out the default camera. There are a number of Furia once again spread around the map. They're not making things easy. The secret here in Doom. Just losing his life early on there, and that could be a big blow for Secret. The sense, obviously, you're going to be looking at those light screens as being some utility that can assist your plant. It's going to help that execute. That's gone now, so they've got to start thinking, where does this plant come from?
You ban the Warden to make use of operators like the sense, looking in towards the Blitz, for example. Of course, recently changed, you can't see this, that's kind of half rubbish I'm talking there, but the smoke's in the back pocket of Savage, another thing that it would help with. And I'm just thinking at this point, you've invested this much in trying to make this set-piece play work out. You've engineered bans around it. You've got the idea what you think is a good counter-prep and counter-analysis to how Furia play the game. And you've lost a pretty key operator in that set-piece play early on. The blessing still being, of course, you've got Savage here. We know what he can do on the Blitz. We've seen him on many a shields, many a time, and that's why Tour banned away against him here. So there's something they can do with it, but it's definitely going to be diminished having lost that key operator so early on.
And the thing is, you've got to... Nice shot from Adrian there, just sees Herds peeking out, he's going to pick him up. It's not necessarily there, you know, about Doom specifically. I'm asking Secret, really. If you've got a key operator that's part of your execute like that, why are they the first in the building? You've got to think about these things as well.
You assume it's safe, and then it turns out there's someone at the door.
Yeah, you know, who's going in for those challenges? Who's going in to take out those default camps? Who's going in to take that space? And how important is that operator? Savage is going to continue just trying to feed a bit of intel, I think, behind that shield. Trying to make sure that they've got everything located, knowing what they're going to be facing up ahead of them. But the problem at the minute, concern for Secret, they haven't dealt with that top floor and the verticals on this side. You can see straight away bullets raining down on them. It is a tough ask, a tough nut to crack if you haven't got that top floor control.
You've got Mowgli starting to poke from the side, though, up here towards Highway. And if he can get in and just start putting some bullets down, distracting these top players, that's the way to go about it. Sees one, almost manages to get an extra shot down to layer on a bit more damage. But with 3 players up top, it's not easy to do. Savage, taking the time on that distraction, has pushed his way in here. Needs to win out this fight. You can't be losing it, no! Adrian's there for an assist. Mowgli finally up top, walks away with a kill. Sure, Casey gets one back, and that's sight for now at least sacrificed. But 2 players have dropped in. They've got it, Tim. It's hell versus heaven at this point. The 2 from above, the 2 are on the site itself. They're not going to be able to stop it, Tim. This one's going down.
This is the problem. Furia have put all their eggs in the vertical basket, and it's not paid off for them, Des. They haven't been able to stop the plant, and now they're on the back foot. They're above. They've got to fight their way back into sight, and if anything, they're now doing the job of the attacker, trying to get themselves established. Mowgli knows this. He knows that they have to either drop a hatch or play down the stairs. He's waiting for it, but he loses his fight. Philippox comes away with a kill somehow. Adrian picks up KZ. We go into a 1 versus 1. Adrian finds him through the soft wall. Absolutely beautiful stuff. You might well smile, Adrian. That was a great double to finish things off. Secret take round 3.
And a 4K for himself in the round as well. He'd had a slow start a couple of rounds, not picking up anything, but makes it count when he needs to. 2-1 to Secret on the attack inside. On there, you'd expect to split down the middle, really, but it's looking good. Now we're into these next bans. Have you seen the shield taken away? Because that Blitz has been a little bit of a nuisance. Wouldn't be shocked to see it go, and sure enough, away it goes. I love the smoke ban, because the one thing I looked at earlier on, I feel a little bit bad for nading this one. Guess what his 3 most played operators are, Tim?
Are they mutant smoke in Warden?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come for the full target ban. But a similar story again, where across 2 or 3 of the players on this team, Smoke is in their most played operators. So they really are going in a fury here with target bans and taking away the 3 operators that they know they play the most across every single map. Really cool to see.
Back up to the top floor we go for Fury, then they will continue that rotation. We've spoken about this a few times now. A lot rarer do we see teams going back-to-back on sites. We used to see it all the time. You'd go top floor, lose top floor, try it again, because that was your favourite site. Whereas now, teams have got much more locked into this strategy of our rotations to play. Round 1, 2, 3 are these sites. And win or lose, they move on. And I was saying the other day, Des, I think mentally it's potentially a good thing, because even if you lose a site, you move on. You're going somewhere new. You're not trying. You don't have that element in your mind of we've just lost this site, and it gives you a couple of rounds before you play it again to put that loss out of your mind. Whereas you know that those wins are going to build confidence for the next one. So it's great to see. Really, it's a little bit of a change I think that we've seen over the past 12 months or so, particularly. It become much more common for teams to do that.
All right, let's see if Furia can battle their way back through. They've gone for their triple target man against Savage, and as mentioned, Secret have kind of spread across the team, but gone for their 3 of their most played operators. Both teams are really going neck and neck at each other. Onto their 3-site rotation, as you remarked him. Top floor to kick things off, and in comes Doom from below on the Deimos. Saw Mowgli playing this a little bit earlier on, and Savage has gone across to playing on that Ying. Take away the shields, that's totally fine. We know you haven't got a Warden. Guess what's coming at your face? A whole bunch of Candelas and smokes. Could well prove to be rough, assuming, of course, they get in spot to actually pull off this execute. Last time round, they managed to get a lot of it done. It was Noah with a 3K working his way up Rocket that got them a lot of control and a lot of ability to move through Mares and start putting pressure onto Mass Wolf, for example. Look at a plant, but it was a very well played 2v2 by Furia that saw the round going their way.
Furia so far at the tournament have actually had a 90% defensive win rate, Des. 9 out of 10 rounds they've won on the defensive side. So Secret are doing a real job at the minute. They're giving themselves a great foundation to move on and win this layer.
Shotgun, okay, nice. I mean, I like it. I like it, because they're probably expecting to see electrification coming out, which is what you got with the Kaid, so why not the shotgun from below?
Well, I've said this about the Deimos before. The Vendetta is such a good gun. And if you're using your tracks, you're stuck on the Vendetta anyway. So a lot of the time, those are the fights that the Deimos is taking. So why not bring the utility of the shotgun?
You saw there how it almost managed to get them a kill as well. They were not really almost, but more a bit of damage down to Philippox. They knew that wall was being reinforced off. He wasn't quite in the right place at the right time to capitalise. But Tim saw the Candelas in hand then for a second for Savage. They're starting to think about what this execute looks like. It's very heavily east side focus, and Adrian carries on now. 5 kills in a row he's found himself, but the team is starting to move their way forward.
KZ will pick up Doom, leaving us 4 versus 4. Candela's about to go in, but Savage rethinks it, repositions, and sends one in from elsewhere. Philippox manages to pick up Noah, but the diffuser's going down. Secret have been playing the objective game so well so far today, Des, and that's going to be another success for them. They have the lines that they need to support, but can they hold on to it in the post plant? That's going to be the big question. 1 kill goes either way. Furia 3v2, so they're on top in terms of numbers, but can they fight through the Secret defences?
Mowgli's missed there as well. He had the long angle from up on highway. The diffuser's going down. You've got Adrian coming from the top, but the cover is there. Furia have seen this one a few too many times. They know what's coming. And again, play out a end-of-round scenario on that top floor excellently.
I like that from Furia. As soon as the opportunity presented itself, KZ straight on that diffuser, looking to disable it, get the round done. 2-2, and 2 of our top teams here at Reload so far, showing exactly why they are in that position. They've both played very, very well, and we're having a great contest between the 2 of them. A reminder of what we're playing for here. Both of these teams have stuck with just reloading the 2 bullets, not getting too carried away. Secret have reloaded 1 each on day 1 and day 2, so they're currently having won both of those games, sat on 8 coming into this one. And we've got Furia that went for 2 bullets on the first day, 2 bullets on the second day, won both. So they currently sit on 10 coming in. So there's 2 up for grabs and 2 to be lost on either side. So I guess more of that slow, steady pace for these 2 going through. We'll see that change up as the day goes on.
5 seconds to go.
5.
I feel acknowledge the change, or the thing they need to change from last time around. Remember, they lost the Ram very early on, and then lacked vertical destruction for the rest of the rounds. So here now, instead of leaning into bringing the butt, I tell you what, They've lost the Ram again, Tim, at the very start. But as I was
Who
just
needs a
saying,
Ram?
they've brought along an insurance option. They've got Doom, and as long as he doesn't go down next, please don't cast the curse it, then they should be fine to still get open what they need to. Cover a plant from above as well as a key one. They won't be forced to go and hit deep in towards the site itself. Instead, you use the verticals, you make use of the Sen's light walls, and that is what your execute then gets built around.
Yeah, it's certainly not making your life any easier when attacking onto the basement if you're going to be losing all that verticality early on. They've just been unfortunate when you go into those peaks, you don't get to pick who it is. And losing Ram at the beginning is a tough blow, but one that FURIA will be happy with. We're going to see the Deathmark track go out. It's going to pick up KZ on the Scopos, so he's just going to get himself somewhere where he's got a little bit of support. He's got a teammate there in Felipox who can work with him, JV92 as well, so we can kind of try and keep him safe. We're going to see the Vendetta taking a few pot shots through the wall, just feeding that information back into the team Mowgli, letting him know what sort of direction. But Secret, they've got a lot to deal with on this mid floor yet.
It's smart because they've got Doom above who was opening up the floor above, forcing KZ to move, so he was then exposed to that line of sight from Mowgli. I think shot him in the booty a couple of times, but that's all he managed to get away with. There is that second player up here, JV92, who's ratting in a corner, hoping that they'll come and chase down the Scopos and he'll get a freebie off the back of it. Not yet to come. In fact, Noah has just completely deleted him from an off angle. Didn't know he was there, I think, at this point. Straight there to the back right, off towards the right-hand side of your screen. Easiest kill in the world that they'll find as JV's attentions were elsewhere.
Yeah, Noah's continuing to have a great game, 7-3. The thing that Secret are going to be looking, or Secret fans particularly will be looking towards, is that second half. Is Noah going to be able to continue at this pace on the defensive side of things as well? Sometimes we see players go even crazier. Sometimes we see them really settle down in the second half. But right now, they're going to be very happy with his performance. Finds himself 7-3 and continuing to look unstoppable. We've got Felipox and KZ still trying to work together. We saw this last time from FURIA. They really wanted to hold this site from above, so much so that KZ ended up in a 1v2 whilst still above, and a lot of work for him to do. He wasn't able to win it out. Nade does manage to win out again. Savage finds another one onto Noah. That's big. Nade and Mowgli then trade each other. That's a huge triple for FURIA from Nade, just when they needed it most.
Absolutely, a great way to shut this round down as it is. Unless Doom can pull off something magic, and I was going to say, as we've always said about his tournament so far, he ain't that guy to do it, I'm afraid. FURIA up now to 3-2. Winning the last two in a row, Tim, puts them in a great position because Secret were ahead for a short amount of time, let's not forget as well. But it feels like FURIA have now adapted to those bans coming through. They've got Secret figured out a little bit better, and Secret have just gone a little bit blunt in the tooth.
Final defensive round will be... Nice shot from Noah there, just JV92 leaving the tippy top of that head, peeking up over the wall. Didn't get punished for it, but coming into the final round, I'm going to see them going to Weapon and Armory this time, where they try to hold on for one last time. FURIA, I think if FURIA come away with a 4-2 here, Des, they can count themselves almost lucky, to be honest.
You reckon lucky?
Not lucky's maybe a strong word, but I just feel like Secret, for me it feels like Secret have been on top of this. They've been the driving force. FURIA have been playing a little bit reactively some of the times. It's been Noah, it's been Adrian going in there, creating space, and Secret have had the command of a number of rounds there, and I feel like if they don't come away with a 3-3 half, FURIA have got away with one a little bit there. They've been kind of let off.
Yeah, I could kind of get the point where you're coming from.
I'm not saying that they've not been in the game, but I feel like Secret could have been 4-2 up. It could have been their half.
Yeah, satisfied with the
easily.
For sure. Secret, they want that 3-3. They want to get. They started out strong. Let's not forget again. Some of those first 3 rounds went their way and struggled to get one across the last 2. It'd be good to end the half with another one on the board. It's going to again be this focus on the vertical players. We're down that first floor. And of course, with the Brava on side, Tim, well, guess what happens now? You get in there and you hack the living hell out of anything, because come back to that ban we spoke about, the mutes, those Brava drones unimpeded by anything except bullets.
Yeah, good shout with the Maestro on side, of course. Just interesting to look across the kills and deaths at the minute as well, and we've got 2 different games going on here. FURIA really playing a team game at the minute, very, very even across the board. Unusually, it's JV92 so far that's a little bit quieter than the others, but still making his contribution. Whereas if we look at the side of Secret, very reliant on Adrian and Noah, Mowgli chipping in a little bit as well. But you've got this sort of front line and back line aspect with Secret, whereas FURIA, everybody's rolling up their sleeves and getting involved. So another little interesting contrast between these two teams.
Focusing on this top floor for now, because that, of course, is where the focus should be. Secret have tried this whole plant under the vertical once, and sure, they largely got away with it, but couldn't always fully close things out off the back of it, except for an Adrian 4K. You don't really rely on Lightning striking twice like that. Instead, you've got to take a little bit more by the books and get that vertical control done. Of course, leaning in towards Adrian being on the Ying. That should be the big focus for them. That's going to be their execute. But you can also, of course, make use of the Ying, not just for hitting side, but for hitting these rooms that are currently held by enemy players. And there's 2 or 3 of them on the top floor. You've got JV inside the bathroom corridor. Casey's up there by the art window. And then we've got a third player also sat inside of our 6 room. So a little triangle of death going on up on that top floor.
Yeah, there's no way that Secret get away with a plant without getting that top floor control here. Adrian will pick up KZ to kick things off, so that's going to be one of the top floor players. Still 3 remaining up there. Philippox, Herds and JV92 all above. As you say, there's all working together. It basically shows you how much value there is in this area. It might not be a top floor site, but you kind of defend it like it is, and then you just worry about the verticals after that. Secret are maybe going to try their luck here. Now that they've taken nade, they'll know that site is clear. The question is, can FURIA hold it from above? We've seen them fail previously. Do they have the angles that they need to prevent a diffuser going down?
I mean, Hertz is off in Narnia right now, needs to get himself back towards site, and JV, I think, is going to play for the verticals. So largely the same as before, as you say, is give away that control and just say, fine, you want to try and play for it, then we'll try and play for the verticals and deny you out.
That's
but look
huge!
at that! Let's say he was off in Narnia, Tim. They had no idea that he was out there. A huge 2K on the flank, finally traded out by Mowgli, but the damage has been done. JV and Philippox could clutch this, and there's 1 or 2 kills they need.
Secret just haven't controlled the flanks well enough. They've put the track stingers out there. They've thought that it was enough, but even with the gunfire taking them out, they haven't responded to those players that were going to hit them on the flanks. And now Noah 1v1, time ticking down, low health, nothing he could do, and that was 2 great flanks coming in from FURIA to save the day in that round.
You know what it looked like to me there at the end as well? Noah was just a bit paralyzed by choice. Do I try and play for a kill here? Do I go up the stairs? Do I try and find the diffuser and get a plant down? I think if he committed towards going for the diffuser, he gets it in time and can try and stick it, but then you're always in that situation where you've got, what, 6-7 seconds sat putting that diffuser down when you're going to have JV92 coming down to collapse onto you. So I get it. Choice paralysis is a painful one, but ultimately they lose the round and the half. 4-2 to FURIA. Let's go for some bans then, shall we, Tim? Sticking things relatively similar on the attacking side so far, with the Monty being taken away. Sen's interestingly being taken out here, so identifying the FURIA like that for the set-piece plays and just getting it off the board nice and early. Also to follow on the other side, Guide and Bandit. Electro Bros offline.
Fairly standard, so what we're going to see there from FURIA is plenty of breaching, which makes sense on there. If you think about the sites that we're going to be looking at, top floor, you can go and get mask wall open really easily. Even if there's a mute jammer on there, we can see, you know, Doom is going to be playing on the mute. It doesn't really matter too much. You can work up towards the top corners. You can use your impact TMPs. There's so many options to deal with those mute jammers reasonably easily. So they're not really consistent wall denial anymore. So you're going to see Mask's wall getting opened up. There's the option then to potentially work into our 6 room, get that wall opened up, really create some crossfires inside a site, open the wall up inside of ops that goes through into the corridor there that you can see. There should be ample opportunity for FURIA with that double electricity ban to get lots of breach. I want to see this site looking like Swiss cheese at the end of this. Plenty of holes in it, plenty of lines of sight, and an opportunity to get that diffuser down. They should be able to force Secret away from anywhere that they want to play.
I think it's the speed aspect that you bring along too, right? Is when you haven't got to worry about playing this little mini game to get a wall opened up, then you can move with a bit more pace and purpose. And for FURIA, so then they're certainly not going to complain about all that much. I was just looking down how things have gone so far, and back in that first half, both the rounds that Secret won were off the back of clutches, which says a lot about how hard FURIA have made it for them. Even when we see people like Noah hitting that 3K in round 1, they still couldn't quite convert things. So with how things shape up here, I wouldn't be shocked to see FURIA just walk the next 4 or 5 rounds and close this out.
We need to keep an eye on KZ in this round. He's gone in immediately underneath on the Deimos. He's kind of tracking his way back out a little bit. He's changing his position. But think about it. If he gets underneath somebody and gets one of those tracks active, a lot of this floor is destructible upstairs. So he can then start working with those vertical shots with the Vendetta and just make their life a nightmare. He's just going to bide his time and wait for the opportunity. Once they make some noise elsewhere, they get a breach, they start pushing ops, and everybody's focusing up on that. That's when the track can come in, when the eyes are elsewhere, and that's when he can make a quick challenge onto somebody and maybe get a kill from underneath.
I was going to say, there's 3 players all trying to get rid of Mowgli here, holding on to this obstacle reinforcement, but he's managed to get a kill and said, thank you very much. I'll take my free, but you can have ops now. It's no problem. The Grim has gone such a critical operator to execute into this site with as well. Love to see it, and I really like that Mowgli has shown the constraint there to back away. Look at him back on walls. He'd have gone after second and third kills there and probably died in the process. Now Casey's got a bit of a track on, so he'll back away behind his teammates, keep himself safe. And I doubt Casey gets anything from that.
No, exactly as expected. He was just waiting for that moment where his team were taking ground, they'd moved into ops, and he tries to catch Mowgli unaware. But Secret have responded well. They were ready for that. Mowgli moved to safety. There was nothing that KZ could do to find the kill, and now he's going to have to wait his time and try again. The problem is you've already shown your hand. You've already shown maybe that's what you're going to go for. Adrian now has been tracked, but again, he's holding on well, but he's not. He's only holding on to a nade that KZ sent in. Beautiful kill from the Deimos. Mowgli goes down as well, and FURIA, they are hitting the gas pedal, Des. They are finding some momentum on attack.
So well played by KZ with that nade to force Adrian down the stairs into his waiting, loving embrace. And with that, Mowgli also falling on site, it's all starting to fall apart. But June's found at least one for himself. Down into a second, actually, as Philippox hits the deck. Will probably get himself pulled back up here. June is underneath, no C4 in hand, I don't believe. In fact, it wasn't in his hand, Tim, because it was on the ceiling. Gets himself a second into a 2 versus 2. Herds, so there is no one anywhere near him. Both players coming up from Rocket here. They win one. Herds has got to go massive.
Manages to get the diffuser down, a point in his credit at least, but doesn't know exactly where he's being pushed from. Juma's waited for a big round, and he's delivered when Secret needed it. He goes underneath and deals with the Deimos that's making their life a misery. He then hits a nitro to get the kill above and comes in and sweeps through, cleaning things up and killing Herds at the end for the post plant. Fantastic stuff from Juma and a great, resilient defense from Secret.
What I love is that it wasn't even just Twister, the whole team there. They know that June's had a tough time so far. Hitting a big 3K like that is great for the confidence, but having it like compounded by your team also saying, God, yeah, go on! Having that kind of energy behind you is exactly what you need when you're not having the best start to a tournament. Wonderful round for June. You'll see some of the replays. I spoke about that nade play that came out when the Deimos of KZ. It was beautiful. June there, cheeky little down as well, coming off the back of it. A great C4, and then to go on and march with a couple more kills. Absolutely beautiful stuff from Secret. And in a way, they've done back to FURIA what FURIA did to them back in the first round of the last half, if you remember. Really good stuff.
Who's trying to hold angles against me? It's Let's go!
I mean,
you know what? Fair play. I love the size of his balls, man. He is
it's a fair shout. It was a hell of a peak. It was a hell of a. It was JB92 that he hit on the reverse angle.
I just don't know who's saying that. He knows who he's playing against, right? One of the best rosters.
I don't think he cares.
Angles against me.
I don't think he cares who he's playing against. Absolutely slammed him. But
excellent.
Look, Secret there. That's a round that FURIA are going to feel that they should have won, in reality. 4v2, they dominated the mid-round. Secret should have gone underneath earlier, I think. They knew that KZ was down there on the Deimos. He'd already tracked and attacked Mowgli, and they left him down there, and that cost Adrian his life ultimately. They left him alone, and he just kept hounding them with the tracks, with the utility, and maybe Secret should have done something about that a little bit sooner. But once it became a serious problem, i.e. they'd lost Adrian, June then did go down there and did something about it, and did a lot of other things as well. So a good round overall from Secret. A lot. He did a lot.
Yeah.
He did.
My head hurts. First call coming out from the Dokkaebi. I wax lyrical about this operator all the time and how valuable she can be in the right hands. Teams that know how to push forward as a unit when that call comes out are the ones that you tend to see being really successful. Look at Falcons across the last year.
Oh,
is a golden example. Mowgli has been slammed. June falling by the wayside for Philippox on a little bit of a tear here, Tim. Picking up 2 for himself. No Ram being brought down early here, Tim. It's the Ram that's doing the slamming.
Secret has a great round in round 7, and then it all seems to fall apart quickly as FURIA come into A, wipe 3 of them out, and you're now in a position where you feel like the round is almost done. Philippox manages to get a third, cutting down Noah. 5v1, Adrian with it all to do. He's been having a decent day, but I tell you what, this is a real ask. 1v5, not only 1v5, but against FURIA. He's battling left and right, front and back, but he just cannot find a kill, cannot buy one there, Adrian. As FURIA, they managed to get themselves 1 round closer to a win. It's 5-3.
Yeah, this is what I thought we might see from FURIA. They'll just kind of turn the gas on now and just say, okay, cool, we've had a solid first half there, a few rounds and we're done. Let's just time out for Secret.
Mais o louco, né? Tipo, tentando agressivar, mesmo aquele all-in ali embaixo. Que boneco vocês acham que a gente tem?
Let them keep in going in and bring more resources to do the game into your favor. It will be one of the best things. They're bringing these hunt operators because they don't want to spend much time on the drones. So what we do, we can even just play like even the video to just spend a little bit more of time or more resources. Because even in the first round, they were doing the play with the capital and the nades on the bottom floor just to isolate kills. That's what they would be based on. They try to get the opening pick and then they go for the site over there to try to execute after with the bomb. If we stop them in the middle of this with our resources and then playing aggressive, I think it would be good for us because they will struggle and won't have any further plan, you know?
Yeah.
Let's go, you guys got this. Let's go. Have fun.
Let's go.
Goes back to a degree what we spoke about, and Twister's there very spot on the money. They're going fast. And when we spoke about this kind of bandit ban being something that you want to just get out of the way and not have to spend this time playing mini games in the mid-round, clearing away walls so you can think about and execute, slow them down. What he was saying there was use the resources. Any C4s that you've got, any gadgetry you can bring along that can slow things down that little bit more. This is why you're seeing things like the Goyo and the Goo Mines and the smokes coming online here. It's just to try and stem the bleeding a bit, slow down this FURIA side.
I mean, I know they haven't gone for it, but I'm pretty sure I heard Twister there suggest maybe something like the Vigil as well.
Yeah.
As it is, they've got a region, you know, they've got other operators, they've got the Goyo there. Anything to, like you say, slow them down. How can we burn time? How can we set the problems? I'm going to watch this round for Secret particularly. Where's your presence offside? The problem is with that, you're up against the FURIA side that will hurt you in gunfights.
5 seconds to go.
We can see Secret win as many gunfights as we want, but ultimately you're going up against players like JV92 and KZ and Herds, and they are going to hurt you in gunfights. If you commit too much to roaming in the map and causing problems elsewhere, you better make sure that you're winning those fights, because otherwise, like we saw in the last round, you're going to very quickly find yourself 5 versus 2 when FURIA come in and just wipe everybody out. So that's something that Secret need to make sure that, yep, committing around the map is fine, causing problems around the map is fine. You got to win those gunfights and keep those positions.
Charge. Stay clear.
See how things play out for now. Of course, this top floor should once again be the focus for FURIA to kick things off. But they have got the Deimos. And don't forget, we had this dance last time around Rocket Stairs. It's Doom who's dancing around this area of the map now, I think, looking to remind KZ that it's not a free walk in the park. That said, here we go. We're low as well. That was such a key one to land, but KZ, you don't miss those very often, Tim. Noah, though, elsewhere, gets one back and hits double digits.
No, and that's good for Secret. They managed to get another one, taking down the Deimos, and this is what I was saying. Yes, you can cause them problems around the map, but you got to back it up with a couple of kills, and they've done that brilliantly well. 4 versus 3. Now Secret can start thinking more about sight, because FURIA don't have the numbers to play that fast game, to try and just hit sight. Now Secret can think about, how do we use this man over that we've got? Do we put an extra player on site? Do we just drop back a little bit, invite FURIA on and burn out a little bit of that time? Let's see how they play in the late round.
It's a key one. And what I like is when this whole little scrap was going on around Rocket to try and get rid of the Deimos, Adrian up on Highway was going pretty aggressively out there along with Savage to make sure they had control of that part of the map as well. Because no doubt Twister's words rang true in their head. You know, they like to try and get the entry and then hit sight. Don't let them. Challenge them around the map. It was good stuff. Savage, the C4 being thrown out. At least for now, not popped out, but of course waiting for that chance for the call to come through from those Vault cams. You can see Doom, even though he's dead, he's sat on that camera watching and waiting, made the call, but doesn't find anyone from it.
No, it can be a tough one when players like this just do not stand still. As you can see, I think it's basically Secret have done what I said pretty much. They've dropped back from a lot of the pressure points on the top floor, and they've just taken up slightly more dug-in positions, headed themselves a little bit closer to sight, and so we've had this big lull because there's nobody for FURIA to find. They're trying to use the verticals. Secret are giving them nothing, and I love the way that Secret have played this. Get in there, cause them problems, get a couple of kills, and I tell you what, it's taken the pace out of FURIA, hasn't it?
In case you're wondering what's happening on our other game over on the B stream, BDS have beaten KAG Osaka 7-2 on Lair, Tim, the very same map, winning 5 of their attacks. A real dominant performance from BDS. Of course, now a very different roster, and KAG not quite putting up the numbers they needed to be able to hold on. But now they're back into this game. It's looking like it's cooking, Tim. Secret in a 3 versus 2, but clock is running down, which might make this a little bit easier for them. They've still got smoke to play behind as well. Pushing as they might. JV finds one. For Leapbox, another. Can they start getting the diffuser down? He's nowhere near the site itself, and that one's done.
Secret have played that well. They've managed that round fantastically. I referenced NIP, old NIP, sort of 2021-22 NIP, and it was something that they used to do really well, was go in there, aggressive at the beginning on the defence, get a couple of kills, much like Secret did onto FURIA, and then just manage the round from there. Don't allow them to play their game. Secret did that beautifully, dropped back, FURIA want gunfights. They know how good they are mechanically. They want those gunfights. Secret, after the initial battles at the beginning, no, we're not giving you any more, drop themselves away, play a little bit of cat and mouse with them, cause those problems, and I'm sure after that timeout, Twister's going to be very happy with that.
On a couple of bands coming in, it's going to be the Mute and the Deimos.
No surprise for the Deimos.
The Deimos, no, it's been a bit of thorn on their side here for the majority of it. And Mute, you touched on it at the time we were speaking about the target ban coming in against FURIA. It makes a lot of sense to think against pretty much every team, because if Mute is not in your core lineup of operators that you can play as a team, there is likely a problem.
Yeah.
So not at all surprised to see it taken away and denied from them.
Let's get into round 10 then. We're back up to the top floor. FURIA managed to maintain their lead by 1, but Secret are hanging on for dear life here and not letting FURIA get away at all. Not letting them gain any ground whatsoever. Last time around when we saw FURIA attacking onto this site, Secret made it difficult for them. They tried to send KZ in underneath with the Deimos. Doom had a huge 3K, got down there, took out the Deimos, got a Nitro kill back into site. Despite the plant going down, Herds couldn't hold on. It was a little bit scrappy. FURIA with a great start, Secret with a great end to the round. I'd like to see FURIA get a bit more sort of confident site control this time. Have a nice... A couple of the plants have felt like they've been, not just by FURIA, but Secret as well. It's kind of like we're throwing it down because we've got to. We're 2v2, we're coming towards the end of the round, we've got to put this diffuser down. I'd like to see a nice controlled execution here. Get control of some of site, wherever that is that you choose, whether it's over by B-bomb chassis, whether it's inside a mask's wall. Get control and put that diffuser down with proper cover established.
Throwing being a bit too aggressive. It's the one thing I'd really like to have seen him kind of curb a bit on this team. I spoke about before on walls, a bit of a wild card, a lot of potential, but sometimes a bit too aggressive. And may have someone paid the price here. It's very rare that a team is going to let you get away with a play like that without any kind of support, and he's been taken down largely for free very early into this round. Don't forget, of course, though, Tim, we've got that Vigil on side here from Savage, something we heard Twister speaking about. Just try and waste a bit of time. For the first, 60 seconds of the round, he was sat on cams, toggling between default cams, seeing where the push is coming from. Of course, being the IGL, he wants to know what's going on there so he can make the right calls to his team, where to move resources around. They'll have to do so though in the 4 versus 5.
Yeah, for now it's a little bit of a mini-game between KZ and Savage as they hunt each other down underneath while the rest of FURIA continue to work on this top floor. They've got Mask Wall open, they've got Ops Wall open, so they are shaping themselves up to, as I said, what I wanted to see, a nice controlled execution. They need to now establish cover, and KZ needs to start doing that work from underneath to force players away, out of sight, with that verticality, and create a situation where his team can get in and put that diffuser down.
This is the key one. KZ has had this focus for the last minute and a half now on getting in underneath and trying to threaten the vertical. I was just looking at this lineup here between JV and Noah, I believe it is. 2 blinks first, who dares move? Of course, Secret have the advantage here. No real requirement to move. But Noah went now. It could be a bit of a freebie for him, waiting to be lined up. With that vertical play being done by KZ as a remark, this is where now FURIA start lining up for an execute, knowing they've massaged some of these Secret team players around, moved them away, and now it's all on nailing that blitz to get the diffuser down.
Yeah, and despite opening Mask's wall, they're now moved across to that B plant. They've got the R6 room wall open, they've got the smokes down, they should be in a safe position here. JV can hold the cover, is going to do so, takes down Noah, and this is the kind of execution I wanted to see. Doom's dropped below to try and deal with KZ again, but it might be too little, too late, as KZ finds the kill, the diffuser's down, and FURIA surely lock this out in a 4v1. Adrian low health, he's having the kitchen sink thrown at him right now. Nade will find the final kill, and FURIA put themselves on to match point.
excellent round from FURIA. That is the kind of set-piece play you can go and analyse back and just appreciate how amazing FURIA are.
That was great.
It was a little bit unfortunate for Secret because they had the ping on the floor. You saw it earlier in the round. Yellow ping in the floor on where the C4 needed to go. So as soon as that attempt came on through, they blow it up, defuse would be down, everything would then be a little bit of chaos. I love how there was that awareness from Secret on what was going to happen. They read into the game plan, but it didn't matter because that C4 was a second too late. They get in, the plant starts going down, and even with June being a little bit risky in the moment, dropping down, trying to regain control of the vertical, everything still fell apart from them. But again, one of the best set-piece plays that you can see in Siege. Wonderful stuff from FURIA.
We came into the game, of course, talking about Savage. He's had a fantastic couple of days alongside Noah. Really quiet today, 1 and 9, and I think Secret are just struggling to maybe find that impact elsewhere. We had him on the vigil in that last round. He should have been the one to do something about KZ to remove that vertical option from underneath. But as we saw, KZ battling with and killing Doom at the end of the round as well. He was never really bothered by it. So I always say this about the vigil. Vigil does not bring any utility that helps the team. And I mean, you know, in terms of bulletproof cameras or something like that, electrification of a wall, denial, nothing like that. He's a selfish operator. And that's not to say that players are selfish using, but it's to say that he has to get kills. If you're going to bring the vigil, he has to waste time and he has to waste kills. Sorry, get kills. And that's not something that Savage managed to do in that. It was just kind of, for want of a better phrase, a little bit invisible, which I know you want from Vigil, but not quite that invisible.
Yeah, again, a large part of it, I think, was more in playing the IGR role. I mentioned that he was sitting on cams for the first 60 seconds of the round to know what was coming, and
well,
that's why
it.
they had
Vigil's not going to do its job then. You need your Vigil around the map, using the scanner, keeping them guessing. That's what you need.
They had the read, but just couldn't quite execute the way they did, so it was really, really unfortunate. But here we go. Speaking of Savage, under quite a bit of pressure as a nade came sailing in towards him. Does get out of danger for a second, and has to back up once again to Noah on that Azami to make sure at least the window is cordoned off for now. FURIA, though, you can already feel starting to breathe down the necks of Secret, who are just, again, taking into mind what Twister said. Get out there, meet them, slow down the mid-round as best you can. It's all well and good saying that, but it can be very hard to do against a team of this caliber, and they've got those Dokkaebi calls both cooking up.
Mid-floor battles are going to be really important this time around. We can see that FURIA are not really stacking up like they did last time. Much more focused direct to site. This time they want those verticals. They know how important they are. So it's another one where if Secret, as you say, can win those couple of fights, they could get themselves a real advantage. Herds manages to find Noah, but not before Mowgli had been able to take down KZ. So kind of even Stevens at the minute, and Secret are holding on to the mid-floor, which is what is important. Adrian traded out after picking up JV, but here come FURIA. It's 2v2. This one is anybody's Des. Savage, though, after a quiet game, cannot get loud when needed, and FURIA close it out, claim themselves another 2 bullets, move on to 12, and keep themselves at the top of the table for now.
That last round was such a heartbreaker as well. They thought they'd managed to hold off some of the attention going on the first floor. Mowgli got a kill. Then what happens? Hertz in the basement just hits you in the back, gets rid of 2 players before you can blink. Brilliant bit of flanking play on such a slow and loud operator in the sledge as well. For me though, Tim, it's summarised best with FURIA in that half. They are dominant. So hard to stop once they get moving, and who cares if they've only played Blair once in the last year. They may have lost it, but they look absolutely fabulous here. We'll go to a break though. When we come back, the desk will break it down for you a little bit more.
What a game from FURIA. Oh my god. Congratulations, Felipox. But we need to talk about some stuff that happened on the first half. You guys were all over the map while defending the site, and that caused you some problems because Secret could get the bomb planted with the site clear. So what was the conversation to change that?
Yeah, so they banned Mute and Warden. They're both really good defenders. And they can abuse like Ing, Glass, and Grim, Deimos. So we knew that if we do nothing, they would like execute in us, and we could do nothing. So we started to play really aggressive against them. and it worked. I think 4-2 defending against a ban like that is a really good half. So I think our strategy worked, and in the attack was really easier than defense.
Yeah, we saw. You also, let's talk about the bans. As you mentioned, you guys banned Blitz because Savage was really bothering you guys on the first half. So I want to see what your thoughts as an IGL about this new banning system and how you can adapt and have like 2 games, 3 games inside of one.
Yeah, I like it a lot. They are a team that abuse shields for a long time now. And we can ban the 3 shields of them, so it's really good not to play against shields. And you can do whatever you want, like they did banning Ward and Mute is a really different game. You would never see a thing like that in the older banning system. So I think it's really refreshing for the game.
That's cool. You remember what you guys talked while the cat call pause?
In the second technical pause? Yes.
Yeah, the last one.
Igor talked to us that the game was easy. We were on attack. That's our best side on the map. So we just keep the composure, keep things going, and everything would work for us.
Just trust you a lot, right? Like, just do your thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, do you think that Secret had a bold attitude picking to play against you, or no?
I think so. I think they had a bold. They used the chicken card and then they picked us. I don't know why, but I don't know.
I want to know why. I may ask them later and tell you guys on the desk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I think at that point, it's not like Team Secret had many options left, really. They had to choose, and there was like 3 really good teams at the other end that were waiting for them. Anyways, however, here we are, FURIA Secret, and to be expected, a 7-4 victory for FURIA on Layer, but Secret still gave it a good game, really.
Yeah, it was a great test for Secret's, like, what they're bringing to the table, and obviously they weren't able to close it out, but still, you can't be too upset about that. FURIA have been firing on all cylinders. Their individual play was really good, but something that was a little bit different in this game is, we'll probably both touch on it, but the bans. I mean, strategically, it looked like FURIA was just winning this game when it came to the bans, when it came to the fundamentals, because they understood what they needed to do. They understood their opponent, and that's what we wanted to see, because their first 2 games, they were brute forcing their way through wins. This game, they had the brains behind it. Those bans, getting rid of the shields, they understood exactly if we take this element away from Secret, they're not going to be able to capitalize on the Yang. They're not going to be able to capitalize on the Glass. It really was the shields that would give Secret that push. They still tried, but that was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I also want to touch upon the bans because, one, this is a brand new banning system, which obviously creates a whole different aspect in how you can approach things. But yes, them banning the shields, they said that they're really good with the shields. Getting rid of those shields, that allowed them to play aggressive. And that's when we saw that aggression on the defense. They were taking the fight to them. Sometimes the best defense is a great offense. But then when they immediately switched to their attacking half, they removed all of the denial operators. They got rid of Bandit. They got rid of Mute. They got rid of Cade. That almost immediately was going to allow them to open up the site, then be able to aggressively push into the site. So again, these bans are really interesting in how teams use them. And I said this, it's going to come down to the IGLs and how they're going to adapt. And I think Felipox understood exactly how he wanted to approach this.
Oh, it came exactly down to the IGL. I mean, Felipox was at the top of the leaderboard, but the ideology behind an IGL being at the top means all of the preparation that you do before the game is working. It doesn't mean that you have to apply too much mental power to be able to adjust things individually. It means their game plan going into it is what actually carried them through. It allows Felipox to just have to focus on getting his kills. I mean, they had 3 players in the double digits, but Felipox being on the top, I mean, he's just keeping that run going of him being at the top.
Being able to trust your teammates to do what they need to do in their moment and their game sense. FURIA's roster has so much experience. It is pretty much as easy as it gets. But Gabe, you had something to show us. What was it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're talking about how well FURIA is and their ability to adapt. I mean, this was a big round, specifically in round 6. It was these flanks. Especially, like I said, sometimes the best defense is the best offense. And you see Herds leaving the site as Maestro, going for that flank, netting 2 kills. Then you have Felipox coming from up top, hitting this flank, putting pressure on the likes of Secret, where that interrupts the flow of comms. You are chaotic. And that was just such a good read. And that allowed them, and again, shields weren't on play, so that allows them to get aggressive, and that's exactly what they did, and it's why FURIA is playing at such a high level, and those bans play such an important factor.
I mean, that's what sets them apart from the rest of the teams, is on defense, a lot of teams just sit still, they wait, time, not FURIA. When they know that they need to win based off of making a play, they don't just do it individually. All around the map, they pressure. Somebody's going to find that gap. Most of the time, they do. And it just looks so beautiful, so well put together, like a masterpiece when everything works out.
Very well orchestrated.
With a layered map like Lair, it definitely works out well. However, it's time for a blacklight detail. And of course, this is brought to you by one of our wonderful sponsors here at Reload in Rio. Reload to survive in Rio. Blacklight, you had something to show us here, Mr. Davide. Is there a moment that you wanted to highlight?
I mean, it was round 7, although Secret did not end up winning. It was a beautiful retake from Joom and Noah in a 2v4 situation where they understand we need to take down stairs control. Joom gets a nice 2 early picks, the C4 in positioning to anticipate the run over, and now just a beautiful 2v2. These shots to re-enter into the site were disgusting. I mean, Secret understood what they needed to do to retake, but the shots are what carried them through. But it just goes to show Secret put up a fight. They understood exactly what they needed to do, even in the man-down deficit. It didn't work out all the way through. FURIA adapted, but those shots from Joom, the retake into the site, beautiful.
Again, I think where they lost, most importantly, was in the ban phase. Other than that, the gameplay that they put up, it was right next to FURIA's.
Yeah, but that's a difficulty with banning against FURIA is they don't need to abuse anything. You get rid of shields, they're playing the Deimos. If you get rid of Deimos, they're playing the shields. They just always have one step ahead of you.
Exactly. That's just the flexibility that comes with being a top-of-the-line team. However, we've had this Savage Felipox game that we're talking about as IGLs. Well, there's 3 others, the total 5, that sat down and talked about their reasoning and how things work for IGL, the IGL Summit after the break.